The Hombres, Tres Hombres.
Hombres.
TikTok, time to rock. My Hombres.
Yeah. How are we, Hombres?
Where is he? Where's the rock professor? Oh, he was frozen in time.
Already.
Already. How are we, guys?
Already.
Good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good, brother.
All
Good.
right.
I've got my Tres Hombres going on.
Tres Hombres.
As you see, guys, we're sporting our 1 Tres Hombre, 2 Tres Hombre, 3 Tres Hombre. Try and say that fast.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I think the rat bags is better. We'll just go for the rat bags. We should just call this rat bag show.
Easier.
All around the world.
Awesome.
Oh, look, here we go. Look, John
Good
BL
to see you guys.
7 over 8 and Johnny Bean, morning team.
Raid already.
Good.
Wow. Johnny Bean raid, yeah. Small raid, 3 people.
Awesome. Good to see you, Simon, the rock professor. Good to see you, Brad, as usual, for the Sunday show. Always a pleasure to catch up with you guys. And, you know, we always do some special shows, don't we? And this one's a little bit special because of the passing of Dusty. So it's always a good thing to catch up and remember a huge person that's been influential in our music lives. Brad and I caught up with each other, Simon, a couple of days ago when we mentioned while we were on air that ZZ Top's an important band for you too when you were growing up. So we look forward to hearing your insights and your observations on this band.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. It's been around for a long time, like me.
You have.
I've been around a long time. So have they.
Yeah. So I look forward to that. We've got a couple of things, guys. We've brought back a couple of segments that we haven't done for the show recently. We've got the rock professor who's going to school us in some important things. Mm-hmm. We've got Brad's roadies coming in to talk to us about guitar things. So that's going to be interesting. And what am I doing?
You've just been a hombre. You've just been a hombre.
Un hombre.
We're gonna show a video too, guys. It's going to be 8 minutes before we get into the show proper. Brad will talk a little bit about that, but it's really important if you guys are followers of the channel. We like to share the good things that happen with the co-hosts and with you guys out there too. So I'll let Brad talk about that. But before we jump in, I suppose the rock professor wants to do a shout out to all the hombres in the chat.
Yeah, hombres and yes, not all hombres. We're very lucky. Good morning, Nelson Rodriguez.
Is there some senoritas in there?
Senoritas. Don't do that. Sorry, don't do that. Bit weird. Oh dear. So yeah, good morning to Nelson Rodriguez and John ZD. Don't do that. John ZD351. Nearly put him in timeout. And John BL 5150. Morning, John. And 7 over 8. And Johnny Bean and Teresa Maria de Souza. Good morning, Teresa.
Daddy Bean.
And Ellen Voroshin, I should say. Is it Voroshin? Yes. Yeah, I saw you pronounce it as Voroshin the other day. I thought, have I been pronouncing it wrong? Anyway, apologies if I have. But, and Nerd Halen as well. Caleb, morning, Caleb. How you doing? Been loving your show reels. Really good. I had great fun. Back on the stage, killing it as usual. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Crappy luxury. Good morning. How are you? Hope we're good. You didn't do anything, John. Yeah, I've got fat fingers, and then to go astray on a small screen. But I've managed to stop myself just. So yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I hope we're all good and well.
Awesome, Simon. That's a good shout out. Look, guys, we want to do another important little shout out. Brad is 20 subscribers off his Instagram account from having 2,000. It's a bit of a milestone for him in the show because we're all related. So you'll see, if you haven't already done it, you'll see some Instagram accounts there. Brad Cook Music, easy. Simon Williams, 33. That's because he's 34. Kurt S5150 and Michael, another good friend of the channel I happen to have. Please jump on your Instagram accounts if you haven't already. Hit these guys up. Put a subscribe there, and you'll be in the link. You'll be in the know with everything that we do here.
Yeah, you'll get to see some little snippets of things that you wouldn't see anywhere else. That might encourage them, mate.
And if you're really good, we'll join you into the private chat.
Shitty.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to go to the private chat, mate. That's a bit scary, that place.
Oh, well, one of you guys are going to have to open up an OnlyFans page for the show, and it ain't me, so it's one of you two.
It ain't me. Simon, you're nominated, mate.
Oh God! Oh yeah, Mr. Social Media himself. Made me confused.
Yeah. No, we're be great if we can see some subscribers. That'd be awesome. And yeah, Andrew will invite you to the private chats. I promise.
Yeah. Well, look. That's one of the great things, guys, about the channel. When it gets to 1,000 members, it gives us an opportunity to do that. You know, it gives us an opportunity to have, you know, a community page for the channel, which is always good. You know, it's about, you know, sharing the music that we love with other people. That's what it's about. So it's always a pleasure to hang out here with Brad and Simon, talk about great albums, talk about music, talk about gear. I'm looking forward to it. And I suppose what we probably want to do now, Brad, is I think this is probably a good opportunity for you to do an introduction for the video.
Oh, the video. Yes. This morning I stayed up and I've just gotten onto this website called together.co, and artists go on there and perform, and you can go on there and chat online like we are now, like in YouTube, where you can do little comments down the side of the page. But the wonderful thing about it was, which I wasn't aware of until I got in there, was you can actually request to, you can put your hand up for them to pull you in and have a bit of a chat. So I did it, and yeah, it was just wonderful. Philip Sayers pulled me in and had a bit of a chat to me. It was great to meet him face to face, even though it's electronically. And he's a really sweet, humble guy. And I encourage everyone to go check his music out. Really, really wonderful to get to meet him like that. It was very warming. He's such a nice guy. And yeah, in the chat, like when we were chatting, it was very complimentary and everything. So it really just touched my heart. It was really cool. It was a really good experience.
Yeah,
we'll show it. But one of the great things I like about what we do here, Brad and Simon, the Rock Professor and Brad, is that, we all jump in together and we share the stuff. And when Brad sent me a message saying that he did it, and I'm going, holy cow, and he's got the video. The first thing I said, man, is, fire it here. Let's have a look at it. Watched it and said, can we share it with our YouTube family, which is great. So he said yes. So it's on our page if you guys haven't already seen it. But it's an important part of what we do. So I'm going to, if it's okay with the Rock Professor and Brad, play that 8-minute clip now, if that's okay, guys.
Yeah.
Definitely. Go for it.
All right.
We can't see you blushing, Brad. It's all right.
I'm going to bring Brad Cook to the stage. Brad. Hey, what's up, Brad? How are you, my man?
Good morning. Good morning, all the way from Australia. Yeah, it's 6:30 here in Australia.
Oh man, rise and shine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just had a nice strong coffee. I'm good.
I was going to ask you if you got the coffee brewing yet.
Yeah. Firstly, I want to say hey to Nick as well. I've done a few lessons with Nick and stuff, so it's been cool. Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Great player, man.
Man,
but
it's so cool to meet you.
I know this is face to face. Great to meet you, Phil.
Great to meet you.
I really, find a lot of inspiration and stuff from your music, and I just wanted to obviously face to face to say it. Thank you. And how's your recording sessions going?
Brad, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. That absolutely, I got some goosebumps. I feel very, very grateful. Thank you. Very kind.
Thank you.
And in return, I want to give you a shout out here as well for anybody who's watching. Brad is an excellent guitar player and singer, and had a record come out. Was it last year, or an EP, or like the Planet of Love?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I just want to give you a shout out and suggest that friends from our community go check out your music. So where's the best place for them to hear your release? Where do you like to push people to?
Obviously, I've got a website. It's just brad-cook.com.
Okay.
But obviously on my socials, Brad Cook Music, that's my social media outlets, mainly just Facebook and Instagram.
Great.
And I've got links there to all my Spotify's and all that stuff. So, I'm trying to get 10 million streams on one song at least. I'd be wrapped.
Come on, man. Oh, you should be very, very proud of what you're accomplishing. And, it's I really dig what you're doing. I think it's amazing.
Thank you, Phil. It means a lot.
I feel inspired by hearing your playing and, your posts as well. Brad lights it up, and obviously he's hanging with Nick. So, there's good people, good times. So yeah, Brad, thanks for hopping on at 6 a.m. I'll stop babbling. But I appreciate you asking about the studio, and it was awesome. I don't want to say too much because it was such a healing and such a special experience for me that I feel really thankful for. We recorded a lot of songs in a very short amount of time. And so I'm just sort of in the process right now of going back through them, listening to them, what worked, what didn't, what do I like, what don't I like, do I want to, fix a couple of this line, that line, just kind of like going back over it, the things that we always do. We record it and then say, oh, how can I make this better? And then, just constantly overthink it. But so I'm in a place where I'm going to go back in again this month, do a little bit more. And ultimately the plan is to try to just keep, go in for a few days at a time, do a little more, maybe a week here, a week there, if I can. And hopefully start releasing some music, maybe even before the end of the year. Because we don't need to release a whole album anymore. It's just like one song, 2 songs at a time. And so I think that's the plan.
No, that's awesome.
Thanks. Mark is tagging you guys right now. Mark.
Oh, thanks, Mark.
He got you and Nick. Awesome.
Much appreciated. And love Spirit Rising, but looking forward to some new tunes as well.
Thanks, Brad. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, you really, there's been a couple times where you definitely lifted my spirits. So I'm grateful to you for that.
Thank you so much. Likewise, Philip. Thank you. And I won't hog too much of the time here, but I appreciate your time. And I love this whole setup. It's fantastic.
Mark is the man. This is the coolest. And, I want to be mindful, just aware of the situation in Australia with COVID at the moment, or in parts of Australia. How are you and your community doing at the moment?
Thanks for asking. We're up to our sound now. Yeah. So I'm currently in a lockdown situation. Obviously can't get out and play. That playing music's been a big part of my income for the last 20 odd years. Right. So obviously musos are doing it tough right now, but I'm grateful in a sense where I'm in a position where I can, maintain my lifestyle the way it is. I'm writing a lot. I'm getting stuff ready for when I can get out and play again. And, obviously my you know, Time to Fly EP was the first solo thing I've ever done. I've always been in bands. So I'm looking forward to getting something else out there and putting together a band and getting out and playing and maybe even getting across to America at some point. So,
oh, yeah. Make it happen. You can do it.
Yeah.
You're going to do it. I can feel it.
Thank you. Thank you, Philip. Appreciate that, man.
I
Thanks for asking.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's a two-way street, my friend. We're, you know, everyone's living, but yeah, I've been seeing that things have been pretty rough in Australia. And certainly they were saying in Sydney, and, you know, I mean, different pockets everywhere is rough. But, you know, I hope you and your family continue to be safe and, you know, just, yeah, one day at a time. And I think, you know, are you going to do any more recording before the end of the year? Is that what you're leaning toward or no?
I've been doing a little bit. I've got about, 15 songs sort of half finished, if that makes sense. I have trouble at the moment focusing on one song, just because of the whole COVID situation, just not as focused as normal. But I've probably got about, 5 or 6 songs ready to release as an EP. So I'm only going to release EPs. I'm not going to release a full-length record at this stage because it's just not consumed music's not consumed the way it used to be, I think. Right. So I think in small doses is enough.
And consistent small doses, right? Like, so as opposed to like spending a year working on a record and you drop it and then people like next month are like, so you got any more new music? And you're like, I just spent all my money making a record, it's like, so yeah, I hear you, man. Like we can kind of like spread it out every other month, a new song or whatever it is, then it's, and then maybe at the end of the year, you release it as a full record with some other songs. It's sort of a choose your own adventure at this point. So
yeah, I think like I put a lot of money into film clips and everything for the last thing I did, and I want to continue that on, but I've got to go and make some money too. So I've got to get out and play a bit and do some cover band work and stuff when we can get out and play again.
Yeah. Well, it looked really good, so it was definitely money well spent. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope it's a peaceful day ahead.
Yeah.
And thanks for getting up early to come hang with us. It's super.
No, it's been a wonderful experience, and thanks for the chat, Philip.
Man, thanks. I look forward to future chats. So thanks, Brad.
All the way from Australia. Hi.
All right. Well, hey, all the best from here in California. Play on, my friend. Go get them. All right, Brad. Peace. All right.
Mixing with the stars.
Well done, bro. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
Interesting. I'll pick up on one thing you said about, doing an EP. I don't know if you've seen this over there, but my friend Chris Buck, who's an amazing player. Well, he's got a new band called Cardinal Black, and they released 4 songs. They released 3 songs, like one every 2 weeks. They did one song, they did another, and they kind of had a sort of media blitz around. They got to the top of the rock charts. They beat Noel Gallagher to the top of the rock charts for their first single. Yeah, really, really good. I mean, he's an amazing player, and he kind of lifts. Look out for them, Cardinal Black. They're really good.
Yeah.
They're much more modern. His band Buck and Evans is kind of quite a sort of 70s rock band. Really good for me, great. But the Cardinal Black thing is much more of a bit more modern stuff. But his playing elevates them completely. Some great guitar solos on them as well. So check them out, guys. They're really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then what they're doing is they've released 3 tracks. I don't know if there's a 4th one as well, but they are then doing. You can actually buy it as a physical thing. Take pre-orders for. So they clearly only make the number of CDs that people have actually ordered. So they're doing like a pre-order for CDs and stuff, which seems like a pretty cool model to do. You know what you're doing. You're not spending a lot of your own money. On speculation. You're getting stuff for people who already paid for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's good. Thank you, bro, for giving us the opportunity to share that video and keep it on our channel. This is a collective effort here, guys. My co-hosts and I are always keen to share in all the good stuff that's associated to this channel. So seriously, bro, good work.
Thanks,
We want to see you in the States, man. Want to see you in the States, brother. Want to see you. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And when Brad makes it, everyone here in the chat, my co-hosts and I and Simon and everyone's going to say, we knew him. We knew him. We knew him when he was...
Free tickets, backstage passes for...
That goes without saying. But we knew him. We knew him when he had a Squire.
Look what we did for him.
When he had that little gorilla amp. We knew him back in the day.
We knew him when he had Marshall beer dispensers for
when the poor bastard, all he could have was pretend Marshall amps.
Thanks, Warren. That's still one of the great jokes of this channel. That is
the beer dispensers.
That's beer dispensing Marshalls.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Hopefully, Warren. Yeah, shouts out to Warren.
Shout out to Warren. Hope you're good, man.
All right. Well, we've got the Rock Professor here. He's going to be in a position to teach us a few things, and then we'll get Brad to kick the show off. I think after the Rock Professor's done his thing, maybe he wants to do a quick shout out because we've had a few other people join in the chat. So, where is the Rock Professor? Here he is. Hold on. We haven't seen this guy for a while. He's probably
turn him up.
I can't turn him up, but he's probably handsome back in the day.
He's still handsome, mate.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. Yeah. Back in the day.
Pay attention, class. It's the Rock Professor here with another look at the events surrounding this week's classic album.
That wasn't too bad. That was reasonably volume wise. That's all right. So yes. Welcome. Pay attention, class. So 1973. Events in 1973 include Elvis Presley's concert in Hawaii. It's the first worldwide telecast by an entertainer that is watched by more people than watched the Apollo moon landings. There you are. January 14, Mr. Presley. And the March 7th, the director of talent acquisition at Columbia Records, John Hammond, suffers a non-fatal heart attack following a performance by Bruce Springsteen. Which is really cool, isn't it? That's what going to see Bruce Springsteen can do for you. Induce heart attacks, amongst other things. And of course, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon released this year.
Oh, wow.
Led Zeppelin, the bane of all our lives, the first handheld mobile phone call is made by Martin Cooper of Motorola in New York City. So, yes, 1973, the first handheld mobile phone. So we got to, in May, Led Zeppelin played before 56,800 people at Tampa Stadium on their 1973 tour, breaking the 1965 record of 55,600 set by the Beatles at Shea Stadium.
Wow!
So took 8 years to. So the Watergate scandal, televised hearings begin in the United States Senate. David Bowie retires his stage persona Ziggy Stardust at the thing. And the brothers Malcolm and Angus Young perform under the name AC/DC at a former Sydney nightclub, Checkers, for their New Year's Eve party. First time. And also in 1973, ZZ Top have played, to the 1st of August 2021, they have played 3,021 shows. That's quite something, isn't it? So,
wow.
You know, that's going some. And in 73, they played with the Rolling Stones, or toured Rolling Stones. They played with last week's album, Rory Gallagher. They played with him and Robin Trower. And they also played, I like this as a bill. They played with Uriah Heep and Earth, Wind and Fire. Now, frankly, I can't think of two Uriah Heep and Earth, Wind and Fire quite a long way apart in musical styles, if you're asking me.
They've got the funk going on.
Yeah,
they got the funk going on. That's about it.
Hopefully, ZZ Top in the middle made some link between the two, but I'm not sure. So I thought that was a lovely bill. It's like, that's Wind and Fire and Uriah Heep. There we go. That's what you're doing in 1973.
Can I just say something? My previous band, The Eternal, supported Uriah Heep here in Melbourne.
Well done. The links go on. See?
Wow.
So that's wonderful. But yeah, so there we are. That's this week's events surrounding this week's classic album. Some jolly things to make you smile.
Thank
That's
you,
one
El
of
Professore, or whatever it is in Spanish.
Professore. See, no, that's Spanish. Yes.
El Professor.
All right.
El Professor. That's one of the best
Professor.
you've ever done, mate. That was fantastic.
That's good.
I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Yep.
Great.
Some good stuff there.
Always good, but that was fantastic.
There we are. Cool.
Yeah. Slayer and the Wiggles.
We've got a couple of guys in the chat. Simon, do you want to do a quick shout out before
So
Brad gets into the intro?
I don't think we've got to. Yes, John, that's exactly right. So I don't think anybody knew John. We've got of course Arvin. Hi Arvin, how you doing? Hope you're good. And we think we said hello to everyone else as far as I can tell.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Davison.
Okay.
Sorry, Jeff. Missed you, mate. Good morning.
Yep.
Yeah, and going back, we had yes, and Nerd Halen as well. Caleb was said good morning to him, and Johnny and co. So yeah, I think we're up to date. So
Awesome.
Good morning, all.
Awesome. Appreciate it. We always try to say g'day to people in the chat. Always. It's
Yeah.
one thing that we'll always try and do. And sometimes if the Rock Professor is on a stream of thought, or Brad, you know, the tendency is to let that thought go and run wild and flourish and all that, and then we'll come back to the chat. But it's it's always a good thing to acknowledge you guys in the chat. Brad, what's up, brother?
Well, obviously today we're looking at ZZ Top's Tres Hombres album, a very dear one to my heart, and obviously losing Dusty just recently, we want to dedicate this to him. An amazing album. It's their ZZ Top's third album, studio album. It was the first album they worked on with their engineer, Terry Manning. Billy said that he heard Led Zeppelin were recording their third album at Ardent Studios in Memphis in Madison Avenue, and it grabbed his attention immediately. Did you want to show some pictures first, or what did you want to do?
Oh, no, that's Terry there, isn't it? Yeah.
Terry,
Sorry,
that's
mate.
cool.
Yeah, I'm just putting that up while you're talking. That's all. Sorry, brother.
No, that's fine. So Terry, it's good so people can picture who he is. And Ardent Studios, I think you've got a few pictures of those, but we'll go through them when you're ready. But so obviously because Billy heard that Led Zeppelin were recording there, his ears pricked up, and he was obviously very keen to get in there and work with Terry from Ardent Studios. So obviously, Terry with his work with Led Zeppelin, they went in to Ardent Studios. Their album had been partly recorded at Robin Hood, because I think we touched on that studio in the first album when we went through that. So they started recording there, and then they moved everything to Ardent Studios at Billy's request. And they wanted to finish there. He really wanted to get that Zeppelin type of sound on the recording. And Billy noted that they put work on the album. And his exact words were, "No holds barred, we dug in." So they really gave it everything to make like a really polished album. They really wanted to do something that they hadn't done previously before. In the early sessions, Billy wanted more overdrive sound on the guitars and more gruff overdrive sound of his vocals, especially on LaGrange. So if anyone's seen the movie, that little old band from Texas on Netflix, if you haven't, that's mandatory watching. Any blues, any guitar player should watch that. Any blues musician should probably watch that. But Billy tried to do a couple of vocal takes on LaGrange, and he said it wasn't working. So he said, just hold on. So he stripped down to his trousers and his shoes in the middle of winter, and he ran around the block a few times in the freezing cold. Then he ran back in the studio all rough and raspy and said, "There it is, let's record." So Terry Manning said, whatever they needed to do, they did it on this record. So obviously that's how he got that gruffy sort of sort of voice happening, because he just basically ran around the block because he cold weather. I love that story. So they did whatever it took to get the album recorded and the sounding the way it did. Billy, in retrospect, loved the record. He said it was crisp, big, bold. He enjoyed the benefits of having the level of talent behind him in the studio that they did at Arden Studios, and he said it lifted ZZ Top into a great sounding group on record. Obviously, their sound live, everyone knew they sounded great live, but they really wanted to capture a particular sound, and they did, and it was a real turning point for them as a band. Things really took off from them then. It was ZZ Top's first real big album, and it resulted in their first big hit, LaGrange. So a couple of stats. Obviously, Tres Hombres is Spanish for three men. That's what we are, three men. So we Hombres 1, 2, and 3. It was the release of this was a commercial breakthrough in the US, and the album entered the top 10, while the single LaGrange reached number 41 in the Billboard Hot 100. So obviously, everything ZZ Top did, if you watch Little Old Band from Texas on Netflix, they were snubbed by pretty much everywhere they went. They were popular, but they just weren't a radio band. The radio stations wouldn't play them. No one really understood them. So this particular album for me is a groundbreaking record. I think any blues musician, whether you like Cream, Clapton, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, no matter what you like at that sort of sound of that 3-piece thing or 4-piece thing, Led Zeppelin, I think I just said that, you have to listen to this record. It's mandatory listening. What do you guys think? Andrew?
Look, I'm just going to offer a quick couple of comments. I loved listening to the album during the week, and I always try to, listen to it through some Bluetooth speakers at work. And you don't tend to concentrate a little bit on what's happening when you're working, because you're just getting interrupted. But it's always there. It's good because, and then obviously you try and listen to it when you're driving around. But I always try and get an opportunity to listen to the stuff on headphones, because I think that gives you, Simon and I and Brad have agreed on this many times, it just gives you a different dynamic, and I think it's crucial to take that opportunity to use the headphones. But I'm just going to say, I had a bit of an epiphany listening to this album yesterday, and I don't know whether it was because of the drugs I'm on or anything like that, but it's really simple. It's a simple production, isn't it? And you're just hearing exactly what you're hearing. You're hearing, the guitars, the bass. You're hearing some extra melody lines being played by the guitar as well. You're hearing the vocals clear. And I suppose one of the reasons why I'm sort of fixated on that, Brad and Simon, is because of the conversation that we've been having around All Things Must Pass, and production and how that is so crucial to a recording. It's so. In fact, do we say that the production is probably just as important as the music and the band?
Yes, I think we have at times, and it's important to mention, and I'm glad you brought the production side of it up. So the producer in this is Bill Ham, their longtime producer. And I also wanted to mention Terry Manning, after this record, did every record with them up until 1990 from 73. So obviously,
it's not a busy album. And I think that's one of the great things about music. It's not busy. It's got a groove going on. It's I love it. Simon, tell us quickly what you think before we get into the tracks.
Well, I agree. I completely agree with that. I mean, one of the things that struck me was that sort of slightly cheeky, but it was like Welcome to 1973. This is what albums sounded like in 1973. This is the way people recorded. This is the sort of sound you were going for. You were going, as you say, and you were going for that kind of quite simple, simple sound. There was quite a lot of space, and I've talked on here before. Then they listened with their ears. Of course you do. But, these days you listen with your eyes and you look at a screen and you see the different tracks on a screen. And then that gives you a completely different perspective on the track. Whereas if you're sitting back in the thing, eyes closed, listening to the tape, there's nothing to see. You're only what your ears tell you. And then whether your ears say, need something there or not, or actually, if you do drop downs or drop out, you drop down to just bass drums or whatever, and I think that in those days, back in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, nobody was afraid of doing that. Nobody was afraid of having space. Nobody was afraid of having something where you just dropped out and had 4 bars of just the bass.
Good point. I think you're right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think, you don't have to fill it up. You don't have to jam all that KFC into you. You just have a little bite.
I think that one of the things it does is that today's music I find quite difficult to listen to and quite wearing because it doesn't have any space. It's all kind of filled up because there's so much of it. When you listen to it, it's very dense and very kind of produces a lot of stuff going on. But actually, because I'm old, I need something that breathes a bit, and has that space in it. So I think these things sound better than they do now because that's how they produce things. And I think that it's, that it's in some ways, Andrew, as you say, simpler. But, for me, simpler is better, actually. And actually what it means is I think that when you listen to the album, you listen to it, and I've listened to it, like you, Andrew, I listen to it on headphones and on my stereo as well, here. And the great thing is that even though it's a 3-piece, even though it's, there are things that reveal themselves in the way that they are, the way that they do things that don't reveal themselves. You don't notice on the first listen, but you notice on the 5th listen. And that's from 1970, and that's produced in the way I've just described. And I think that's, it's not a barrier to creativity. It's not a barrier to depth or anything else like that of what you're doing. And actually the misnomer that you need to fill up every single space with things, I think is disproved by not only this record, but lots of other records, I think, Led Zeppelin, for instance, but, Jimmy Page is a brilliant producer. And the reason he's brilliant is because he knows when to stop. He'll do little bits and he'll do this and he has something. But actually, there's still that space in there for all the, the instruments. And if we take the All Things Must Pass thing, this issue about whether you put too much bottom end, whether you bring up the drums, because there's a lot of things going on that record. And I think going back to earlier mixes, because you couldn't have everything louder than everything else, you had to decide where they were in the mix, so that's what they did. And whereas now you digitize it all and you can push everything up and make it all louder, or whatever. I think that's often to the detriment of things. It gives you, having the drums quieter than, say, the voice and the guitar, and have the guitar here, and you've got that kind of third dimension of sound where, of volume wise and where it is in the mix, I think gives it extra, not gives it less. So I think, those earlier mixes, I think are improved by that because you've got that depth, and because because of that thing about analog being, you can't have every instrument as loud as everything else. Something's got to give. That gives it a 3D thing that you don't get in digital stuff when you can make everything very loud.
Yeah, I love it. I love the album, and I think before Brad just jumps in and gets cracking with the first track, I just want to say one point as a add-on. you know, I love power trios. We love Cream on the show, don't we? We've rated and ranked a few Cream albums, and you know, Cream have a bit of stuff going on in their productions, don't they? On the albums, there's a little bit more being added, and look, I don't think that's bad. It's just different compared to this album, and I think, Brad, if you are a young cat and you want to get into rock and roll and you want to make a sound that's going to be just a bass and a guitar and a drum, you got to listen to this album. I think this album gives, I think, one of the standout tones for that rock sound, and I look forward to hearing what my co-hosts have to say about the tracks.
Yeah, just to quickly say good morning to James Stewart, who's not a name I recognise. So, James, welcome. Thanks for joining. And Freddie and Brenda Bushart as well. I don't recognise your names either, guys. So welcome to the channel, and we hope you enjoy the show. So yeah, nice to have you.
Can I just ask the new people in the chat, how did you find us? Because I fired the link to our show on a couple of ZZ Top Facebook groups. So if you guys who are new to our channel, if you can just let us know, we're just doing a bit of a survey to see how our netcasting goes. I'd be keen. But if you could, just tell us how you found our channel. Brad.
Yeah, well, that's segues.
Sonia, good morning.
Segues us into the exciting part now, the songs. I mean, you know, it's great. You guys have touched on everything, like in relation to production, and I think the one thing that was fantastic about ZZ Top, before I get into the first track, is they had chemistry and they captured that on their recordings. They tried not to clutter it. I mean, they were a live band, and Billy stuck to that vibe of maybe one extra guitar track doubled, you know, to get that spread, to get kind of a bit more sound, if that makes sense, like they did on the first record. And I keep referring to Little Old Band from Texas on Netflix, so go and watch that. But Bill Ham was, you know, adamant about the fact they would not do overdubs. And obviously when he went off and did his little run to get them some ribs, some barbecue ribs, he was, that's the show there that I keep referring to, Little Old Band from Texas. But yeah, so, you know, for me, and we'll touch heavily on this as we get into the tracks, but the production, in my opinion, is fantastic for the time frame. They captured ZZ Top perfectly. They couldn't have, you know, the first record's great, the second record's great, but this one is their sound at this particular time. So looking forward to getting into the tracks and seeing what you guys have to say. So are you guys ready to dive straight in?
Yeah.
Let's
man.
do it. All right. Well, have mercy, because we're waiting for the bus.
Have mercy.
Wow. You know, we're in for a wild Texas treat on this album. And what a way to start the record, you know. That intro, you know, with the two double tracked guitars playing the same thing, it's just got that weight to the song. The intro just starts with those nice delicate I don't know, but it's weighty. It's got a lot of depth to it. When the band comes in, it just sounds phenomenal. Great vocals from Dusty and Billy. You know, Dusty's bass lines are very solid. Frank's drumming is solid. The guitars are tough and gritty. They're in your face. Great groove set throughout the song. The solo takes you on a bit of a journey. Obviously, there's that little harmonica solo at the start. Then the wah-wah solo from Billy. A great example of less is more, and space between the notes is so important. And Billy, in my opinion, is a master at that. You know, the way they come back in from the solo at the end of the solo is perfection. The way they just, I mean, it's just highlights how tight that band were. And you can imagine these tracks would have been recorded pretty much live, I reckon, like the Beds. Let's just say 2 minutes 54 of brilliance. This song I gave 20 out of 10, and never a skip. It's never a skip.
No. So I agree. I agree with that. I think as I discussed just now, the space in it. You know that at the beginning you've got when the hi-hat, you know, when he goes and it closes, and you can really hear it, you know, and it instead of
You
it
can
just
hear
being,
it.
you can
You
really
can hear it.
You can really hear it. You know it, and because there's not loads of other stuff going on, it becomes a bit of a feature. And I
Yes.
think it's like it's only a little thing. Like, again, I only noticed it about 4 listens in. You go, listen to that hi-hat, that's so cool. And because there's just that, you've got that guitar riff, you've got the bass, but you've got so much space for that to stick out and be a little thing. You know that you notice. You go, that's really cool, and it gives it just a little bit of color. You know, and those things about the small things give color to the small extra bits of production. Just that little thing that's just so cool to me that that you get that, and that space gives you the opportunity to do it. Again, I think that Brad, you're absolutely right. You know, it's a classic riff coming in, and great, fantastic groove that they set up to do it, and I love the fact that another thing I noticed that under the guitar solo they do a key change, change under the guitar solo, just a little thing, and it took me 3 or 4 times, and I suddenly thought, wait a minute, he's playing and he's doing a different thing now. He's checking a key change. That's really cool. Just a small thing, but again, just to keep it interesting when you've listened to it 5 times, not when you listened to it the first time. So other people might have picked it up on the first time; they're brighter than me. But for me, that's when I picked it up. I thought, that's really cool. So yeah, a 10 out of 10, and absolutely never a skip. And it's got that thing. It's got that ZZ Top thing, hasn't it? That that groove, that kind of that, and they pace it just right. It's not too fast, so that it gets into kind of galloping territory. It's got that kind of lope to it that is really cool. Just the right speed. Yeah. Andrew.
Oh, look, I'm going to echo something that the Rock Professor said. And I'm amazed actually he didn't say it, so I'm going to steal it because he likes to. He likes to focus on this when he gets a chance, and it's swing. It's a component of rock music that's really, really important. And this goes back to obviously Frank Beard, and Simon said it. That hi hat. It's like the cowbells on Honky Tonk Woman. It's it's just this remarkable little thing that happens, and it's like this alarm. It's like this air raid warning going off, and it's just subtle. I'm glad you mentioned it because I thought I was going to be unique and point that out, but never. I'm never going to be unique with Brad and Simon here. But look, I'm going to emphasise that point. I think it sets off something. It's got great swing. And as the album goes on, it's just a remarkable example of a 3-piece in sync and swing, and it just shows. And that first track, as Brad said, what a feature! It just dovetails into the next song. So I'm going to have to obviously Brad score this. I'm going to Brad score this baby, and it's never a skip, ever. Now, I can't remember. What's Brad's score? Is it 20 out? And that's 50, or is it 100? I can't remember.
Anything over 10 out of 10. Anything over 10 out of 10 is a Brad score, whether it's 50, 20, or 100.
Okay, well, I'm going to give this 20 out of 10. Never a skip. Mandatory. Love it. Brad.
Well, if you didn't think the first song was swinging, then Jesus Just Left Chicago, segues in from Waiting for the Bus beautifully. For me, these guys knew how to play the blues. They put their Texas spin on it, but they were traditional to the blues as well, and they kept it down low and dirty. And, for me, Frank and Dusty were holding this Texan beat down beautifully. They just had some, like you said, a swing. They had something that is quite unique. I can't picture a band that sounds like ZZ Top, and the biggest part of ZZ Top's sound is because it was the three of them, and they worked so unison together. The guitar sounds like a Strat to me. You know, it's very Strat-like for me. I couldn't confirm that, so I'm going to say it is a Strat.
I think it is a Strat. I think I read, Brad. I read
Yeah.
this week that that this is done with a Strat.
Yeah, this one's done with a Strat. Vocally, it's very strong. You know, great solos. The first one's stinging blues. I mean, like, you talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan and that stinging, that bee sting style of playing from Texas. You know, Billy was a big part of that whole sound to me. Like, when you talk about Texas blues, I think of Billy Gibbons and I think of, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan. So those two guys are the, you know, definitely the, you know, the ones that you should be going back listening to. Some nice double track guitars throughout the song. It's got big, bold, ballsy, bluesy sound overall. The outro fades out. Man, I don't want that song to end. And it's an amazing second song, and I'm really interested to see what you know, my two Hombres have got to say about this one. But 20 out of 10, never a skip for me. It's you know, I see the first two tracks as being one, just the way they segue together.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you can't listen to one without the other coming in straight away.
Yeah.
Simon.
So yeah, I think that I mean, I've got some notes here. That, I mean, the Deep South is noted for its Christian roots, in spite of the hostile reception rock and roll received from the Bible Belt when it first reared its head. Many contemporary musicians began their music careers in or around church. The most famous white rock and roll hollerer from the Deep South was, of course, Elvis, and who recorded the Old Elvis song. And although Jesus Left Chicago isn't exactly a hymn, it does have a spiritual dimension to it, and is written more in the style of black Christian music, adhering to strict blues format. And Billy Gibbons is known as the Reverend, of course. So
The Rev.
Yep. The Rev, yeah. So
Reverend.
according to him, he got the idea from this song when he was a teenager. He was talking on the phone to a friend known as R&B Junior. Only in those days could you be called R&B Junior, who had a lot of strange saying in his lexicon. One day, Billy was talking to him on the phone when he blurted out, "Jesus just left Chicago," out of the blue. And, clearly consider that. So, Billy Gibbons explained that we took what could have been an easy 12-bar blues and made it more interesting by adding those odd extra measures. It's the same chords as LaGrange, but with a Robert Johnson lick, but weirder. Robert Johnson was country blues, not that shiny hot rod electric stuff, but there was a magnetic appeal. What can we take and interpret it in some way? Which I think is absolutely, you know, that's where its roots are, but they've turned it into something else. That, as you say, Brad, that kind of slower, you know, again, Frank Beard is like a metronome on this record, isn't he? I mean, you know, clearly they're not doing it to click tracks, but, you know, he absolutely, you know, this is the tempo, and I'm going to keep it that tempo. I've never tested it out, but it feels like there's all just one tempo all the way through. The blistering guitar solo. The one thing that struck me about that was that we talked about mixes earlier. It's not right up front in the mix. It's actually back, and actually it's got a big kind of room reverb sound. I don't know whether they actually were in a big room or whether it's a room, but I find that really interesting. You know, that production where you go, it's not going to be in your face up here. It's going to be here, but it's going to be kind of give it some real air and some real, you know, life to breathe into it, which gives it more, I think, than if you just had it way up front. You know, push the guitar solo up the front. There we are. It's, you know, take it back and put something else on it that makes it stand out in a different way. So, 20 out of 10, never a skip. Segues beautifully from the last track. They do it beautifully. It's a great record. I love it.
Thank you, Simon, for those quotes. So I'm just going to add a little bit on what Billy Gibbons has said. I couldn't remember exactly where I read it or heard it, but I'm glad that my co-host mentioned his nickname, the Rev, and he said somewhere that what you have to do to be a successful band, especially in Texas, you got to at least mention Jesus or talk about Jesus in some songs, because you need to make sure that the people that are getting drunk and doing things to the music that you're playing, give them an opportunity to think about Jesus Christ, even when they're in the midst of sinning. So from that perspective, great songwriting. It's and only Billy Gibbons could come
That's
up
nice,
or make
isn't it?
that
Beautiful.
kind of connection.
Yes.
So there's a lesson there for songwriters out there. Give your audience a chance to repent while they're listening to your music. Simon and Brad, it's a 20 out of 10. It's a dovetail. It's that Van Halen thing for me. I'd love to mention it's not Panama. It's Eruption with You Really Got Me. It's when I hear these songs, I got to hear them together, and I don't know why, but 20 out of 10.
It's one of those things. I agree. The eruption into you really got me. It's the same thing with those two songs. That you can't listen to one without the other. Amazing. Well, if you didn't think the first two songs weren't, we're talking about, this is our third song in by now, and Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. Jesus Just Left Chicago.
One of your top 5, I believe.
Right.
Mr. Cook.
Yeah.
Straight into Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers,
So you've repented. Now you're back sinning.
Look, comes in like a steam train. Great dual vocals, some fantastic guitar tones. The tracked rhythm guitars are like, Billy just had something that was he had a knack for doing that, and obviously learnt that from the first record, and he continued that on, and he still to this day, whenever he records guitars, he just seems to do it better than anyone else, the double tracking thing. Frank and Dusty are just holding this one down. It's solid. It's relentless. The beat that got going. Frank Beard was just like a steam train in this song. Like it was relentless. Billy's solos are all class. The stop section in the solo is brilliant. Classic ZZ Top sound and Texas blues power in this song. Again, the solo fades out, and I'm wishing it would keep going. Another 20 out of 10. Top first 3 songs are just belters. They just come in and they kind of open the album up in a sensational way. And if you love blues music, this is infectious. You can't get your head around this record. And I'm surprised when some people say they haven't heard this, and I'm like, you're missing out. This is blues, man, and it's Texas blues. This is, that Texas sound had their own, and they still do have a particular sound to their blues. And again, never a skip. 20 out of 10, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw an interview with Billy Gibbons, and he talked about the down and dirty honky tonk that inspired this song. On a gig in Phoenix, we were driving through a West Texas windstorm. I love the way he phrases these stories. It's we, the band, were waiting to discover a place with some safe ground cover when the late night lights of a roadside joint appeared. It was just across the line outside El Paso in New Mexico. I mean, come on. This is a song all of itself, isn't it? We ducked in quick and came face to face with our kind of folks, those soulful souls seeking solace, not only out of the dust and sand, but out of mind. What chance does one get better than that? We joined the gathering and started scribbling. That's a magnificent description of this of writing it. I think that's beautifully kind of poetic as well. So lovely. I absolutely agree with you, Brad, about the groove. I think again is fantastic. I think that that one of Frank Beard's great things is he keeps the beat going, and he's not flash. He's not all the time. He'll do a little fill in the end where appropriate, pretty much that's it. You know, other than that, he's. I also like, as I said, I've said earlier, the little things. You know, on this record, it's they sing alternate lines.
Yeah.
You know, Gibbons and help, they sing alternate lines. That's really cool. You know, absolutely really cool. As I say, and he's, you know, again, it's the sort of thing, you know, for me, I notice on as like second or third go around, you go, wait a minute, they're singing alternate lines. That's really, you know, just a little thing, but it gives it a point of interest and things like that. And I think that, you know, it's great. Classic Billy Gibbons solo, you know, one of those long kind of notes, doesn't play too much. You know, just plays enough to keep it great. So 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Great track. Great, absolutely great track. As you said, three 10 out of 10 straight out of the gate. Somebody knew how to program this album, didn't they?
Yeah. The standout for me on this song is the alternate singing. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great. It's another dimension, isn't it? But it's also beer drinkers now raises. You know, so he's singing a little bit higher. You know, which is not normal. Not something that we often hear with ZZ Top. So love it, and because of that, it's great. I'm not going to repeat what Brad and Simon have said. But I will say this though: what a hit! What a home run! 3 out of 3.
Yeah,
3 out of 3.
Man, it's a credit to them that they managed to program the album the way they have, and we go on about, you know, in other episodes that we've done how important the flow of a record is, and I think they, you know, up until this point, they've pretty much nailed it so far. You can't really come up any stronger than they have. Andrew, have you got some photos there, or you want to come to them later? Did you want to have a look at some of these photos? I just remembered, so I thought maybe we'll just get them in before we. So that's that's
the first one. Sorry. Okay, so what have we got there? I'm gonna just get rid of the comment, bro, and you can do some chit-chatting.
Yeah. Well, this is Billy's Pearly Gates guitar. We've touched on it in the first record we did, but I think we've shared this picture before, but I just think it sets the mood. You can tell, and that's his beloved Pearly Gates guitar. So, and Simon touched on how that name came up, so we won't go over that again. But you can look at it again. Yeah, well, you can do it again. So he wraps the strings around the tailpiece instead of through. So that was a big part of Billy's, traditional sort of style of wrapping the strings. And that's Ardent Studios. That's inside Ardent Studios. And you can see the tape machines there, and this is them in 73. So you can get they didn't quite have the full, Dusty had a bit more fluff than Billy there on the beard. But that was pretty much this, the era where they were starting to get the facial hair happening, and it was, it sets the mood. That's them on stage. You can see the brotherhood there. They obviously the chemistry, three guys, Billy and Dusty up front, Frank behind them. They were just phenomenal three-piece, and it's very sad, that Dusty's not with us anymore. But that's Ardent Recording Studios from the outside. So it's where the magic happened in this studio. It's amazing. And that there is the man behind all the comments that we were talking about before. So that's Terry Manning. So that was around the same time frame that with the ZZ Top were recording there in 73. So that's the inside slip of the album cover. Apparently that meal cost $2.50 or something. I can't remember what it said now. I didn't pay too close attention, but it's that's pretty much their staple. And again, that's the little old band from Texas on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor. You need to. And I don't like saying the word "need" too much, but because it's not a healthy word to say. But I think that's a mandatory. What you guys have seen it, haven't you? I've seen it.
Yeah.
Many
absolutely,
times.
Probably seen it
Many
20 times. I even watched it again, before today, just to get it in the back of my head again. So, yeah. Did you want to share that story, Simon, about Pearly?
Thank you, JSL Project.
Yeah,
It's a nice
story
comment.
of Pearly Gates. Yes. Good morning, JSL Project. Don't recognise your name, so welcome.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you so much.
We aspire to be like them. Well, yeah. If anyone doesn't know the Pearly Gates story, Pearly Gates was an old car that Billy had that was always perpetually on its last legs, which is why it was called. It was nearly going to car heaven, and he lent it to a girl who was going for a movie job in California. Steady now, Andrew. The drugs are kicking in. It's and he said to her, "Look, if you get the part, to send me the money for the car." So she did. She drove to California and got the parts and sent him the money, with which he bought Pearly Gates, and he named it Pearly Gates after the car, which is a great story. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And a very Billy Gibbons story too, isn't it?
and Billy's mentioned that guitar had something quite magical about it, and if you're ever interested to watch some tone stuff in relation to their live performances and how they got their sound live, there's some wonderful what do they call it, rig rundowns. I don't know if you've seen
it.
Elwood.
Yeah, Elwood Francis. Yeah,
it goes through them, and then they basically, he explains how they managed to try and pull the Pearly sound, because they obviously retired that guitar from playing live. It's on pretty much on every ZZ Top record, but they didn't want to. So basically, they EQ'd him playing a G chord out on stage. And they used a power rack or something, I forgot what it was now, to actually pull the EQ, and they use that EQ on every guitar that he uses on stage to replicate Pearly.
That's funny, isn't it? Yes. So it sounds like that. But
they'd walk out and play a G chord, and they would get that frequency and then make sure that EQ was applied on every guitar. So fantastic. Yeah. What a smart thing to do, really. I mean, taking Pearly Gates out on the road is not really probably something Billy wants to do anymore. So
no. I just go back to one thing that occurred to me. You showed the picture of from behind Frank, of the two of them holding their hands out together like that. Kind of just, and it struck me that we were talking earlier about the small things, and when you see them on stage, they've got all those little signature moves. They're not like big kind of stadium, arm waving moves. No. What they are is those little where they do the steps together and stuff. When they move across the stage together, playing together, and those sort of things, which I think are just absolutely fantastic. But not large gesture things. They're small gestures, but they make a real difference. And make you show them, what they're like, because clearly it's choreographed, but you feel like as they get together, they move across, they do that kind of steps across it, which is to me such fun. Gives it it that extra thing that maybe you don't notice the first time around, but you notice a bit afterwards. Really cool.
You'll find if you watch any live footage of them, pretty much through the years, they did the same thing, the same move in the same part of the song, nearly much for 52 years. It's insane.
Nothing wrong with that.
But always like choreography. It's a part in Sharp Dressed Man where they and they do the lead together.
I used to play that in my old band. Me and Dave, the keyboard player, would be doing that down the front because you have to.
They had very particular things that made them stand out live as well, and I think that's why everyone loved them. So. But so we did Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, so we're up to Master of Sparks. Well, after the first 3 opening tracks of belting our ears with Texas blues, they open things up a bit with this song. There's some sludgy grooves from Dusty and Frank. You know, it's kind of like they're deliberately sort of changed gears a little bit on this song for the flow of the record. The guitars are very thick and dense on this song. There's a strange effect on one of the rhythm guitars. I was listening to it over and over and over again, trying to work out what it may have been. I'm not sure if it's studio trickery or they used some sort of Leslie effect or something, because I know effects were pretty limited in those days. So if anyone can sort of clarify what that is, please let us know. But this song, vocally, it's very unique for Billy. He's singing slightly different to obviously the first 3 songs, and the solo is very fitting for the feel of the song. And I'll sort of reiterate, this is very sludgy with lots of dual note bends in the solo. And in context of the record, I've given it 8 out of 10. It's never a skip. But you know, it's sort of, they've backed it off a gear in this song, rightfully so. You can't continue on 10s all the way through a record. It's not going to happen. They need some ebbs and flows in the record, and it's a great song. I'm only rating it an 8 out of 10 as opposed to the first 3, how we've done them. Yeah.
No.
Simon.
I agree. I just read that Master of Sparks is based on a true story from Billy Gibbons. True story. Him and some pals welded together a steel caged ball that they attached to the back of a truck. And one of them would climb inside, then the truck would drive off, reaching a speed of 60 miles an hour. The person in the cage would be dragged down the highway, immersed in the light of flickering friction, with sparks flying everywhere. Those who survived got the title of Master of Sparks. One of them was... See, things you do when you haven't got the internet. You build a steel cage, attach it to the back of a car, and then you stand in it and let somebody drive at 60 miles an hour down the road. Because clearly that's a really sensible thing to do, isn't it? I mean, it's in all the books. It's nearly as sensible as you wearing your friend's leather jacket and letting him shoot at you with an air gun to see if it would hurt. I did that when I was about 7. My friend Paul Green had an air gun, only a 177. He also had a leather jacket, and we would take it in turns to wear the leather jacket and shoot at each other to see if it would hurt.
And in the UK.
I'm not claiming that's a sensible thing to do, okay? Not even a bit. But it's like this, really, isn't it? It's like being dragged down the road behind a car in a steel cage.
I'm glad it was a leather jacket that you had. It wasn't David Lee Roth backless leather jackets.
No.
You were taking chances and shooting each other.
I'm 7. Backless leather chaps of the future.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh dear, that's terrible, isn't it? But yeah, Brad, I completely agree with you. It's an 8 out of 10 from me. It's got. I love the 2 guitars. I too couldn't. It can't be that difficult. That it must be a Leslie effect, because there weren't that many effects around in 1973. I think chorus and stuff like that was going much. But it's a great effect. Just a little thing on a track. One of the 2 guitars have that little sound on, just to give it a bit of extra interest that you notice after a bit, not straight away. But again, the swinging beat, Frank Beard laying it down, and great guitar solo at the end. Like it.
Yeah.
So definitely 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Absolutely. Still got the vibe, Mr. Wilson.
It's not a bad song. It's just a different song, isn't it? And I always thought it was a Leslie, only because that's what they sort of kind of had around that time, So I'm going to agree and say it was a Leslie. It's not a bad song. It's just unfortunate that if you've got 3 great songs or 4 great songs, another song that isn't up to scratch is going to have to follow that song, isn't it? I've given this song a 7, guys.
Yep.
Not a, but in context to the album, there are some standout songs on this album, and 7's good. It's an honourable score, and never a skip though. Brad.
Yeah. I mean, if we're not too sure what the effect is on the guitar there, well, in the next song, it's definitely a Leslie. Hot, Blue and Righteous. And this is why I think maybe it was a Leslie with a slower speed or whatever they've done to it to get it to sound a particular way. But Hot, Blue and Righteous has slowed down another gear. Some Leslie effect on the guitars. The great guitar tones on this song in particular. Very nice vocal effect and the harmonies are great. Very tasty solo. The note choices are based around the chord changes, which is something that blues players sometimes play over the changes and skip certain things and not find that other players do it really well. And I think Billy was one of those guys that really just played for the song. He always found the note for the chord change and really emphasized it, which is something cool in the solo. It's a great little song with some beautiful layered guitar parts. It's it's another gear down from the previous songs. So I had to give it a 7 out of 10, but it's still a wonderful song. I was just ranking it in relation to the rest of the songs on the album. It's never a skip though. Never a skip.
Oh, I might be timed out. Oh.
Ooh, you will be. To me, this is. I think ZZ Top do this sort of slow blues really fantastically. It's like was it Blue Jean Blues on the Fandango? To me, it's similar to that. It's got that feel, and they know how to do it. Okay, all right, it isn't, but it is. In terms of tempo, Mr. Walton.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. And again, the space, I think that the harmony's great. I mean, I think, it's unusual for them to do those harmony singing like that. I think that, again, I like the way they do two voices, then one voice, then two voices.
Yeah.
Oh, we've lost the Rock Professor. We'll just do a quick little shout out to everyone in the chat while he gets here. Thank you guys for joining us. Brad and I and the Rock Professor. Love you guys joining us. Please give us a thumbs up, share our channel. And here he is, the Rock Professor.
Did you time me out?
Not yet.
Must have been one of the other mods.
They booted you.
Clearly booted me out anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I love the way, as I say, that you have two voices, then one voice, then two voices, and the way they mix those things up. I think that you got harmony on the third line. There's lots of nice little touches in here. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10, and I'm not skipping it.
Beautiful.
Look, guys, I never liked the song for a long, long time, and because I wanted to listen to the rock and roll. I wanted to listen to the, and when I'm a seeker back. Just remember, you're a seeker, and you're looking for the vibe, and you're getting it, and I skipped this song a lot of times for a long, long time. And then I appreciated slow blues for what it was. And as Simon said, the interpretation, and Brad did too, the interpretation, and the cats in the chat are saying, only Billy Gibbons can do it. So the interpretation is fantastic, spot on. And it's great because whoever said that these Texas cats can't slow it down, they can. And from that perspective, it's great. And it fits well, guys, into the album. Not my favorite ZZ Top song. It's not my favorite ZZ Top song at all. And they learnt, Simon, a few lessons from these and got better later on. You know, clearly they got the rock down. Clearly they got the, you know, that Texas groove that they've got. They got that down really, really good. But I think some of their slower stuff got better later on. And that's great because we love talking about continuity on this show, don't we? We love making that connection between an album and other albums that follow. Blue Jean Blues is a masterpiece. And if they learnt something from this song for that Simon and Brad, I'm happy. But I'm going to give this song a 5 out of 10. And sorry, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And now it's never a skip. It's never a skip. But is that a timeout?
Ooh, Rock Professor, what do you think?
Oh yeah, 5 out of 5 out of 10 and never a skip. I think there's a fundamental oxymoron there.
I think that's a naughty corner for at least a minute. Wow.
Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. That's almost like a sin. Billy Gibbons will come after it, you know. My
the
goodness.
Reverend will come after you. Dusty Hill will haunt you.
At least he did say it's never a skip. But, you know, that was your only comeback there, I think, Andrew.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, look, if it was a skip, if it was a skip, I'd let you guys know, you know, because we want to be kind of serious generally, you know, when it comes to our rankings and our opinions.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, in the context of the album, it's great, but, you know, not the best. Sorry, sorry, Brad.
We're all entitled to an opinion, and that's the wonderful thing about the show. We're not all going to be hitting the same mark. That's, you know, and that's what makes it interesting. Cool. It makes it funny for the people in the chat too when we have to time out, so it's good.
Meow.
Well,
what am I? I'm a pussy now.
See, Johnny Heartbreaker says you don't deserve a beard with remarks like that.
Oh, yeah. Next 5 you give, you'll have to shave your beard, mate. Sorry.
I want $1 million. Sorry, bro.
So next, moving on down the line.
That's what we try and do.
Yeah, so we're up to Move Me On Down the Line.
Side 2.
Side 2. Side 2. First track. It's got a catchy upbeat feel to the song. Some very polished tones and vocal melodies. It's a catchy song. It's got some nice little guitar moments. The rhythm section, Frank and Dusty are tight on this song. They're tight. The solo is tasty. There's some really good slide guitar solo in it. There's definitely double track solo, so you can hear one slide, one's like standard sort of blues playing. They were pretty good at writing catchy little ditties. They wrote quirky songs as well as like blues. So I'm going to give this song. It's a great little song. I really enjoy it. I'm putting it in context of the other rankings I've done. So I gave this one a 7 out of 10. It's never a skip.
No. The interesting thing for me is that this is the first song where I don't immediately think of it as being blues.
Correct.
I think it's not. The one thing it isn't is not really a blues song. It has the 145 change, but it's not a blues song. It's more of a sort of in the rock idiom, which I really liked. I thought that, you know, this is the place to put if you're going to, you know, it's pretty fast. It's got an up tempo, zippy beat. It's only 2.5 minutes long, so it's you know, but it opens up side 2 with a bit of zip and a bit of you know, if you've turned it over from you know, Hot Blue and Righteous, you're back on the up tempo stuff at the beginning of side 2. You know, I like the fact again they do this stuff with the voices where they have, you know, two voices, one voice in the fourth line, and they have a chorus which is 2 voices. Now, I really like that, and they, you know, the harmonies and stuff. It's a really really cool way of doing it, of organising. You know, comparatively simple. If you've got 2 singers, it shows how much you can do with them. You know, and if they're not You know, it's it's an 8 out of 10 for me. It's never a skip, and yeah, really good opening to side 2. That was approved.
I'm waiting on Andrew's.
And Mr. Walton is frozen. I thought it's not just me again. There he is. Oh, he's back.
Am I frozen?
You were frozen. You're now back.
You're now back.
Am I frozen?
No, not now.
Testing 1 2. Am I frozen? Am I frozen?
Your visuals are a bit frozen, but we can
testing,
hear you
testing,
fine.
1 2 3.
Can you hear us?
Oh, okay, cool. Yep. Side 2. This is ZZ Top channeling the Eagles. This is their interpretation or imitation. What is it? Interpretation, is that the word? Mimicking of the Eagles, which is not necessarily a bad thing. When did the Eagles start kicking around? 72, 73?
71, yeah.
It's got that West Coast vibe to it, which again is not a bad thing. It's a different thing. It's got that really interesting intro, as Simon said. It's got a bit of acoustic going on there. It's different. I like it. It's great in the context of the album. So I'm going to give this song a 9 out of 10. Solid start to side 2. Solid start. Not quintessential ZZ Top though, is it?
No,
it's them touching, like you said, a different vibe, and I think they did it really well. They captured it beautifully.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's well done, but it's just an unusual thing because you've had blues pretty much all the way through the first side, and then you arrive to something a bit different, which is good. That's good, It's not.
Yeah, I think they were very conscious of doing the same thing over and over again. They wanted to throw the odd spanner in every now and again on their records, which I think it makes them just as much unique and interesting as it did the Texas blues thing. But we're up to one of my sort of particular favorite songs, Precious and Grace.
Yep.
I'll put in my notes capital TONE. Tone. Great guitar sound. It's very growly. His vocals kind of emulate the guitar tone to me. They've got a growl as well. I love the solo. The section takes on a whole new feel. The solo slides through all the changes, with grace. See what I did there?
Very good.
And nice guitar tracking throughout the song. The bass lines are very out front on this one. The drums are almost metronome tight. They lift the whole song. And for me, it's a 9 out of 10. It's never a skip. Simon.
Yeah. I think we're back to classic ZZ Top, aren't we? From a slight diversion of track 1, we're back to a sort of 12-bar blues again, which is back in their territory. And I think clearly, I would say deliberately. Hi, Simon Hosford. How you doing? Clearly designed like that as a thing. It's I noticed that sort of pinch harmonics on this in the third verse, and again, fairly a straightforward song, really, isn't it? It's just Billy singing and going through it. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
Yeah, I like the song. I like the gruff vocals that Billy's introducing on this song, and it's forced gruffness, which I like, because sometimes you can have a natural gruffness to your voice, and that's great, and we can pick that up. But it's nothing wrong with trying to force it out, to get that point across. I'm going to have to agree with Brad's comment about tone. And I think the reason why sonically it is a tone thing, it's because of the Eagles playing on the first song on side 2. So, you know, the Eagles and then ZZ Top, you know, so you're going to have that sonic belt across the head. Good to be shocked back into ZZ Top land after a couple of excursions. You know, sonic excursions, you know, astral travel or whatever they're doing in, you know, the early 1970s. You know,
that's what we did then, man. Astral travel.
Yeah,
and then they had trains, which ruined it all.
yeah. They must have had some tacos or something, you know. Oh, guys, come on, guys, we got to get back. You know, look, I agree. It's a 9 out of 10, and it's the ZZ Top that we love. Love it, Brad. Love it, Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that they had tacos before they did Precious and Grace. Mate, they had ribs before they did the next one.
Oh, baby.
Barbecue ribs,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Extra hot.
Because Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy. I think I said this the other night. This is the best shuffle ever recorded. You know, from the intro to the end, it's everything ZZ Top. The intros are iconic as much as the rest of the song is. I mean, that intro, as soon as you hear it, you know it's ZZ Top. The drums, the bass, the guitars, it's like perfection in a song. It's that Texas blues that obviously they're going down from all their influences and just putting it out there as themselves being Texas blues musicians. And it's perfection in a song, in my opinion. The epic drum fills leading into each new section, the key changes, the solos are perfect. You know, Billy is the man. This song shows Billy is the man. The squanking, you know, the pinch harmonics, it's beautiful. That shuffle is distinctively ZZ Top. I can't say it any clearer. It's Texas blues. No other band comes close to pulling this off like Billy, Dusty, and Frank. I don't even know how to rank this song. I have to give it like 100 out of 10. It's, for me, you know, it's ZZ Top when you hear this song. Simon.
I completely agree. I think you're right. If you're going to play somebody, what does ZZ Top sound like? You play them Lagrange, don't you? You absolutely do play them Lagrange.
Yes.
You know, because it's quintessential. They are. Good morning, everyone. Quintessential ZZ Top. The absolute essence of them boiled down. It's a fantastic record. Some things I noticed about. Clearly, it's based on Boogie Chillin' by John Lee Hooker.
Yeah,
you know, got that. I don't know. I read that Billy Gibbons said it's a straight guitar into an amp, 55 Strat, into a 69 Marshall Super Lead 100. Wow. I don't think it was a Strat doing it, but
I think there's a Les Paul on there too. If you have a listen.
Yeah, it could be more than one, but some of it anyway.
Especially some of that growly stuff is definitely. But he double tracked and there's definitely Strat on there. You can hear the Strat.
Yeah. I like the bit. He said, this is typical Billy Gibbons. The opening part was played on what we used to call the mystery setting in the dark days before the existence of the 5-way toggle switch. I never heard them call position 2 and 4 being called the mystery settings. But, absolutely perfect as a thing. The other thing that struck me is that about it. I mean, it's such a classic song, and that. When they start, you know, it's got that classic riff, you know, but actually, then he goes, oh. Don't you think, it's such a great hook. It's a vocal hook, but it's such a brilliant hook, you know, as another thing in the song to kind of, you know, it's a bit like, I've said this before, Ian Hunter's and Mick Ronson's "Allo" on the Once Bitten, Twice Shy, which is again, you know, and it's something like, that's such a great cut, that because makes you smile, doesn't it? Straight off, makes you smile, and it's I don't know how you rank this either. 100 out of 10, 20 out of 10. You know, make your own score. It's the quintessential. It's a masterclass in blues rock playing as well. I think, you know, and how Billy Gibbons plays blues in whatever key and stuff. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic record, and makes me smile every time I hear it. That's definitely 100 out of 10. Classic, stamped right across it. Andrew.
It deserves its place on classic rock radio, doesn't it? I don't know what you guys in the UK and Australia have with commercial radio, but we still have classic rock here, and this song gets played on a regular rotation for good measure, because it's a classic. It's a classic rock song. We spoke about it earlier during the week on Friday, didn't we, guys? And we've mentioned it again. As Simon said, it's quintessential Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top. It's quintessential. It's defining moment, I think, for this band. But I don't know if it was one of those songs that they thought was a great song. And I've got a theory, because look at where it's located in the album. It's on side 2, and it's 3 tracks in. It's an unusual place for a song that a band thinks is going to be a mega hit for them. So if this is just at the time of ZZ Top, just a song, that we've written, and we'll just put it on the album, and then fans realize, and record executives and radio stations go, hell, this is the song. I'd be interested to see what people in the chat think. I didn't do any research on it. I just think that may be the case. And if that is the case, even better. I think Brad and Simon have hit the nail on the head. It's a Brad score. It's 100 out of 10. Never a skip. The top 3 ZZ Top songs.
No.
The one thing I'd say about Andrew, that position, is that it is in prime position on side 2, isn't it? If if you're going to put a song on side 2, that is the prime position for it to be in. Basically, the track before last is not the prime position to do it. But so you in a sense, you put the weaker track as track 5, and then you put a strong track as track 4, and then you put a strong track as track 5. So you kind of bookend, sandwich the 2 really strong tracks with a slightly weaker one, which is the one before last, always traditionally one before last. So I don't know if they thought that was true, but I know what you mean. It does seem a bit odd, but maybe quite often bands will record stuff and not really realise, that if you think Jesus just left Chicago and waiting for the buses, think they're really great. Put those first, yes, really strong. Maybe they didn't really realise that it was going to be a little 2-chord song. 2 verse, 2 chords, but might have thought it was fairly lightweight kind of thing compared to some of the others.
Simon agrees with me, so that at least someone does. Thank you, Simon.
Mm-hmm. We all agree with you, Andrew. You're the boss. We don't want to upset you. You can boot us off the show. You've got the controls there, mate. You can boot us, So, all the hard work we've done, you can go right out. Chris Hombres, out of here.
Yeah.
Hombre, you're out.
Yeah. Dos Hombre.
Yeah, that's it.
It'll never happen.
I think after LaGrange, it's you can't really follow that song. It's hard to follow that song. Like I touched on before, it's ZZ Top, where they were pushing that blues element with what they were doing, but they still put some quirky things in here and there. And I think this next song, Chic, is a polished up, quirky song from the guys. Has a bit of a telly tone to me on guitar. I sort of pick up like a bit of a Telecaster vibe. I can't clarify that, but it's a very clean sound compared to most of the album on guitar. Quirky wah use for the solo. It's almost like leaves it completely on the heel bass back, like rocked all the way backwards to that throaty tone and then back. It never really goes to the full treble sweep on the wah.
Love the wah.
Not much rocking forward and backwards on the wah pedal at all. Look, it's a reasonable second last song. It's hard to follow Lagrange, like I said. In the context of the record, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Still a great song. I never skip anything on this record. I mean, we're almost second last song and I haven't skipped anything yet. So it's no secret that I love the record. That's why I picked it. So never a skip for me, Simon.
No, you're right. You're on a hiding to nothing following Lagrange. Although I think maybe at the time, maybe they didn't picking up on Andrew's point, necessarily think that Lagrange is going to be such a classic. Some of that is in hindsight. You know, we now think of Lagrange as completely the classic rock song, and you know, probably the apex of this album in terms. But yeah. It's just a complete contrast, isn't it? I mean, that's what you do. You know, you have a song, you can either do another song like it, or you can do contrast. And I think it is a contrast to it. It does a different thing. It provides, you know, that in the context of a running order of an album, it is the right thing to do. I think, you know, for this album, you know, you follow that heavy kind of blues thing of Lagrange. You follow it with something lighter. You follow it with something different. You follow it, as I say, with some, you know, long notes. You've got wah-wah and stuff like that, which gives it a different vibe to what you've had before. Even got some sort of tinkly bell sounds at the end, and things which and some I don't know if the lyrics. You know, somebody had some fun doing the lyrics. Have you seen the lyrics to this? I'll just read out just a verse because it's a. I met a sheik from Mozambique who led me to the Congo. He dreamed to go to Mexico and sample a burrito. And it's got those kind of internal rhymes in it that clearly somebody's been having a bit of a laugh with it, you know. And that thing about my temper has risen again. It must have been 110. Has a sort of, you know, that rundown on those chorusy bits and stuff. It's good, you know. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it. I think it does what it's supposed to do in that place in the album. Really good.
Look, look, I'm going to give the song 9 out of 10, and I think Simon's hit the nail on the head. Contrast. So you know, sometimes a song can follow a song, and it can be really bad, and that's okay. But I think in respect to this song, I think the fact that Brad mentioned there's a Telecaster vibe going on there, nice subtle use of the vibe going, sorry, not the vibe, the wah wah. It's just great. It's just, you know, just that Texas country kind of thing that obviously these guys would have been around too, you know. So I love it. I think it balances in the context of this album the song Lagrange, you know, very, very well. And it dovetails into it and just uniquely shines with Billy Gibbons and his approach to the guitar. 9 out of 10, guys. 9 out of 10. Love it.
Yeah, awesome. To me, it's a very quirky song. But last song on the record, it's a great closing song. Have You Heard? So, yeah, great last song. I'm picking up some real Southern rock vibes in this one. You know, real Southern rock, like, you know, borderline Leonard Skinner and that sort of vibe to me, definitely. Great slide guitar playing. Billy was a great slide player. You know, he kept it simple, but his playing was so smooth. His vocals are fantastic on this one. The little licks between the vocals, like the sort of response part to the vocal lines, are really tasty. Billy's guitar licks, his blues licks, they're very hard to play because he played them with a certain way that was very Billy. You know, not a lot of people have got that feel. The rhythm section are all over this one. Frank doesn't really miss a beat. He's like a metronome on this one. I think we've mentioned that already a couple of times. Dusty's really holding it down. And for me, it's a really great album closing song. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It's never a skip. Simon.
Yeah. I think this is a. Well, Andrew. You just talked about ZZ Top doing kind of sort of Texas country. To me, this is a gospel song. This is like has a real gospel vibe to it, gospel tune, gospel lyrics, and as we've noticed, there's quite a lot of religious references on this album. I noticed, and this is the last of and about that, and I think it's their take on the gospel spiritual music they heard on XERB when they were growing up. It's a local radio station and thing. The other thing that struck me is it's got the same tempo as Jesus Just Left Chicago, so it's kind of like it's like a bookend. That kind of thing. I went back and sort of had a listen to the both. Yeah, and I thought, oh, look, they're bookending more or less. I know waiting for press to, but there's that kind of bookending feel. And I thought, oh yeah, they're kind of like a reprise in a way of Jesus Just Left Chicago. Again, two voices, one with a harmony, and then you've got one voice doing different things, doing a call and response with the guitar, and then back to the slow blues with the two voice harmony. I mean, it's got lots of great stuff to again to pique the interest, keep you interested, and keep you interested. 8 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Great song. Really love it.
I'm glad Brad mentioned Leonard Skinner, because that's the vibe I pick up when I hear that. I just groove into that kind of southern rock thing, and I'm just trying to remember. Just hold on while I have a look here. So, look, they're just paying obviously respects to where they've come from, which is always a great thing. Americans are extremely parochial, aren't they? Texas is a country. And then you've got other states, and it's part of the South. And it's the epitome of that whole vibe for me, Brad and Simon. I don't mind the song. I don't, in the context of the album, it's great. The fact that you've got something going on there with the guitars. Again, that's a little bit different. That slide, a different vocal approach to the song, a bit of melody there going from the vocals, or which is unusual in the context of some of the other songs on side 2. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Is it a solid closer for the album? Yeah, I think so. I wasn't disappointed with this song. Was I expecting, something more? Sometimes when you listen to an album and Brad mentions it, he wishes that songs could go on, I'm not picking up on that at all with this song. I've got a big smile on my face. I've just listened to a classic album, one of their best albums, probably number 1 or number 2 in their catalogue. I'll be interested to see what my other co-hosts think about that. The third album thing, we haven't spoken about that, and I don't know whether or not that's a issue that we really focus on. I know a lot of rock journalists like to talk about, the debut album, the second album, and then the power and the pressure of the third album. I don't pick up any pressure at all on this album. There's no pressure. It's just some cats going in and recording something that they love in a studio and presenting it to their fans and listeners. And, how many years later, guys? 42 years later?
Yeah.
Wow. We've got a classic album. 8.5 out of 10, but it's never a skip.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty much all on par with most of the songs, most of them, bar one. But no, it's been really great to go through this record. It's to answer your question, Andrew. It's really hard for me to pick like a favorite ZZ Top record and top 3. It's definitely in my top 3 without a doubt of ZZ Top's catalog. The first record to me, it's probably still just a beast, you know. It's just an edge in front for me. The first record, I just love it. There's an energy on it. There's excitement. It's their first debut thing. They've come out. They're proving a point who they are. By this stage, though, they've definitely they've honed their craft. You can really hear it on this record. 100%.
Yeah, I think this is probably as you like a lot of bands, you can divide their career up to different phases. You know, and I think then clearly you've got the sort of 80s bit with Afterburner and anyway, the Eliminators. Thank you, yes, yeah. So you've got that phase, but then this early phase. I think this is probably, this is like the best of that early phase albums myself. Those early blues ones. I think it's one of the great. Can I say one of the great things about it? Half an hour long.
33 minutes, yeah.
33 minutes. It's like not only one song over 4 minutes, and yet a lot packed into it. And I know I go on this back, but yes, these are great, but 70 minutes, really, guys? Just as I've got a car park doesn't mean I have to fill it all up with cars. I like the fact that it's 33 minutes. I think it's a really good length. It doesn't outstay its welcome by as you said, Brad, leaves you wanting more quite a lot of the time. And I think that's a really good thing for a record to do. If you think, God, I wish they'd gone on longer with that, I think that's really good. And, for me, absolutely one of its plus points is that it is only 33 minutes long. And I think that's good, really good. They figured it out. It would be quite easy, wouldn't it? We see this a lot, don't mind, but the Rory Gallagher, there were a couple of 8-minute tracks on there from a similar period, which is kind of where we are. But these guys keep it tight, keep it focused, little solos, on to the next one.
Awesome,
really good, yeah. So I think that's really
well.
good.
We're in a treat, guys, because we have a we have the roadie in the house. The resident roadie is knocking on the door, so. Hold on, guys.
All about this.
Now it's time for Brad's Tech and Tone Tips.
Thanks, Andrew. I thought I was going to get away with it.
That's so funny. It never loses its.
Mate, you got to earn your wages. You got to earn your wages, mate. Hold on.
Oh my goodness. All right, so obviously Billy Gibbons, a lot of his tone came from his Les Paul. So I can't do anything more. I've got Strats and everything, but whenever I listen to ZZ Top, I just hear a Les Paul. That's I hear it in there. Even when he's playing other guitars, he sounds like he's playing a Les Paul a lot of the time. For me, I've played in blues bands. I've got a blues band. We haven't played together for a long time, but whenever we do ZZ Top, my biggest tone tip would be where your actual tone control on the bridge pickup, for example, just rolling it back like 1 or 2. So instead of being on 10 at about 9 or 8, depending on obviously your tone of your amp as well. I just find it helps you get that growl a little bit more. It actually does. Hang on, let me just sort of point this down, and I excuse the mess. I'm doing some recording, so I've got mess everywhere. But I'll try and give you a bit of a demonstration if you can hear the difference. It's going to be hard with the compression, I think, but so this is full. So that's completely up to 10. So if I roll that back to about and another big tip that I can give you is Billy played with pennies a lot of the time, or coins. So instead of playing with your pointy edge out, just roll it so that the fatter section. And that was a big thing with Stevie Ray Vaughan, and a lot of those guys would play with the rounder part of the guitar pick just to get a little bit more spread across the string.
Yeah, man.
That's a big Billy Gibbons thing. I mean, that was a big thing. I mean, like that, you know, sort of like. And I think part of that is having your pick like that, you know, and when obviously when it kicks into the obviously I'm not trying to be Billy Gibbons. I'm trying to show you the one part I do know. Anyway, so you get the general idea.
We
Awesome,
do,
brother. We've always
thanks.
we're always in awe of the tone and tech tips. We kind of hope. Let's cross our fingers, ladies and gentlemen. Let's cross our fingers we don't get copyrighted. For that, we cross our fingers to the copyright gods that they'll let this video go, because if we have to edit that out, I'll be pissed off. But at least you guys saw it live.
Look, obviously I'm not playing it perfectly anyway, so it shouldn't get copywritten. It should be fine.
See how good you are at it. Yes.
One thing about Billy Gibbons, I will say this: he did a lot of that, those sort of licks, like a lot of those where he continue two notes together, and you know, so that growl. Obviously, I had the tone fairly flat there. It's not really how I normally play with that sound, but yeah.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, Brad does sound good. So, but yeah, you're right about the copyright. Yeah, some cats that we follow when they do guitar tuitions have been, copyrighted. So
Really,
yeah.
Well, you, at least you can rest assured I'm not Billy Gibbons, and I can't play it that way, so it should be fine.
Let's put it this way: if Brad gets copyrighted, oh my gosh, he is pretty good, but we know he is.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. We know that.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have that Brad's roadie come in and sort all that out for us. Oh, bro, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Great show, guys. 2 hours, which is fantastic. You guys know the story. We're not going to release the album that we're going to be talking about next week unless you follow us on Instagram. So that's how we release the album. We're in operation for a special show next Saturday. We've got Simon, jumping on, and he's going to be conducting a few little things with the Rev, myself, and Brad. So we look forward to that. And
That's Simon Hosford, by the way, not me.
Oh, yeah, Simon Hosford. Yeah, not the
Simon
Rock
Hosford.
Professor.
Too many Simons, yes.
Yeah, not the Rock Professor. So, guys, we haven't nailed a date yet, have we, with part one of All Things Must Pass? So, whose pick is it for the next album?
It's your pick for the next album.
Okay, so I'll have a chat to my co-host, because I don't know if we're going to do All Things Must Pass, because I know that Simon was going to do some extra research on that too. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the album anyway. But I'm going to pass on to my other co-hosts the last words. As usual, it's been an honor and a privilege to hang out with everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. We love doing this, Simon and I and Brad and the Rock, the Rev. Want to do a special shout out to Warren. We always anticipate seeing him in the chat. We don't see him, so obviously he's not feeling well or doing other things, so he can't always be with us. But this show always wants to pay respect to him. He supports us. Simon supports us. And our other co-hosts support us as well. We're a family here. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being with us. Share Brad's Instagram. He needs 20 followers. And Brad will do something really special for the show when he gets 20. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to do something really special when he gets 2,000 followers. So let's share him. Thank you, Texas.
Yeah, why not?
Brad.
Look, just want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. I've had a blast this show. Like every show, it's a pleasure to have everyone here and contribute in the chat. And we do read the chats, even if we've missed them. We go through and we have a look later and we discuss everything. And please help us grow the channel. All we want to do is try and get to 1,000 subscribers by December, end of December. So we need your help. You guys have helped us to get to this point so far. So just keep spreading the word. Whatever you're doing is working. If you enjoyed this episode, share it on your Facebook. Ask your like-minded souls and friends to check us out. Get them to subscribe. And we're going to do a couple of T-shirt giveaways once we get to 1,000. So do it. And it'll be a random draw. Everyone that's subscribed is eligible. You've just got to be on the actual draw at the time when we go live to be eligible.
Yeah.
But spread the word, get us up there, and we appreciate every single one of you guys. And thumbs up, guys. Thumbs up. Simon.
Excellent. Yeah. I'd like to say thanks to everyone. Hope we did ZZ Top justice in honour of Dusty Hill. I think, good discussion about ZZ Top as a band. So an excellent. So and I'll say thanks to everyone in the chat. So we should say happy birthday to Texas Jackdaw. Apparently his birthday's today. Yeah.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, man. Yeah.
Happy birthday, brother.
Yeah.
Yes. And thanks, guys, for joining it. The dog part, Derek Clacton, Teresa, Texas Jackdaw, Ellen, Horrorsign, Mark Tanner. So just dropped by. Jeff Davidson, Johnny Heartbreaker, of course. Nice little thing for Johnny Heartbreaker. Making up a bit of a blues thing to do with our names in. So that's really cool. What's got Derek, Freddie, and Brenda Bushart. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. Nice to see you. Arvin, of course. Deja Voodoo, James Stewart. Hope you enjoyed it, James. Derek Claxon, JLS Project. Thanks, JLS Project. Simon, of course, Simon Hosford. Look forward to see you next Saturday morning, my time. See how I'm getting on next week. The dog part. John ZD351. Thanks, John, for joining. Nice to see you. Hope you're good. Sorry, guys. I'm flicking back through the chat here. Of course, Sonia, who was here as well. Really. Thanks, Sonia. And Arvin and Nelson, of course. Nelson Rodriguez. So thanks all for joining. Hope you're all good. Shout out to Warren. Hope you're good, man. Keeping safe and well. And and we'll see you next week for another classic album.
Thanks, guys.
Take care all. Have a good week. Bye.